1351. The king of Sunda and his attendants enter Majapahit, wondering at its grandeur. There are great gates and markets, courtyards and temples. They make camp inside the city. Tomorrow, they will go to the palace and enter its famous red brick walls. They'll see its courtyards of pools and trees. The great king himself will mount his chariot pulled by dogs and leopards, and take them to the tournament ground, where he holds lavish banquets and watches his nobles spar. And they'll see his great menagerie, where the songs of exotic birds trapped in enormous cages echo off the walls. They've come to wed their princess to the king, and soon will share in this wealth. A gate swings open. Majapahit soldiers march out and stand in an honor guard. Between them comes a man dressed in armor. Not the king, but Gajah Mada. Something is wrong. Very wrong. When Gajah Mada made his vow not to taste spice until he had united the archipelago, the courtiers had laughed. None were laughing now. Queen Katarja's regency had been a period of expansion and success. Gajah Mada had done his work well, bringing kingdoms under the royal banner through diplomacy, tributary relationships, and alliances. Majapahit spread its rule east, west, and north. Those that weren't persuaded by softer means soon found Majapahit ships off their coast, loaded with an amphibious invasion force. At times, Queen Katarja led the army in person, riding on the back of a great war elephant. Often, that was not necessary. The eastern Spice Islands needed Javanese rice, and local governments mostly wanted to ally with Majapahit, especially now that they controlled the Strait of Malacca. The new 16-year-old king, Hayam Wuruk, had inherited an empire. Majapahit only directly governed eastern Java and Bali, but their tributary states stretched from New Guinea and the Spice Islands to eastern Sumatra and even parts of the Malay Peninsula. It kept diplomatic relationships with kingdoms in China and present-day Vietnam and Thailand. But one notable holdout was the Kingdom of Sunda, which controlled Java's western third. After years of confrontation, Gajah Mada finally broke down and offered Sunda a deal. Hayam Wuruk would marry the Sudanese princess, forming an equal alliance between their kingdoms and letting Sunda share in Majapahit's riches. So they had come to deliver the bride. But instead of the king, here was Gajah Mada, with a clarification. There would be no wedding, and the Sudanese princess would not be a queen. Instead, she would be a royal concubine in the king's harem, a symbol of Sunda's vassalage. The Sudanese were surrounded and outnumbered, standing in an enemy capital. But this insult could not go unanswered. Instead of surrendering their princess, the whole royal household, from guards to princes to the king himself, drew their weapons. At first they attempted to break out, but when escape proved impossible, they redirected their charge at Gajah Mada. The betrayer would die. Instead, Mada drew his sword and laid into the survivors with his personal guard. One by one, they struck down the royal family of Sunda. In the face of capture and dishonor, the bride-to-be chose to fall among her family. Questions remain over whether this was an ambush or a diplomatic misunderstanding. It's even possible the king had wanted the marriage, and Gajah Mada intentionally provoked violence to torpedo the match. But if it had all been a grand stratagem, it backfired. Due to this outrage, Sunda would never, ever fall under Majapahit's rule. The incident may have not sat right with Hayam Wuruk either, because afterward, it appears Gajah Mada got sidelined for a few years. He still wrote and institutionalized a system of laws, but he would never be all-powerful again. Hayam Wuruk was not a Yago like his minister. He was a righteous prince, a god king who was the embodiment of everything good. You see, though Gajah Mada hadn't ever sat on the throne himself, he'd reshaped it. Previous rulers had been kings in the Indian Hindu style, but Gajah Mada seems to have gradually introduced more and more indigenous Javanese elements to religion and the monarchy. He played up the animistic spirit beliefs and ancestor worship that already existed in Hindu Buddhism, inviting in traditions that had retreated to the mountains when the newer religions had arrived. Royal ashes had always been interned in temples, but now it was said that these kingly predecessors had merged with Shiva, who was also the Javanese sun god. Family compounds built spirit houses to worship and sacrifice to their ancestors. Mata took the gods, demons, and spirits that were always hiding in the backcountry and made them once again part of the state religion. Javanese shadow puppetry troupes continued performing Indian epics, like the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, but also added tales of venerated ancestors,